Hey guys, today we're taking a look at my Mokey Mokey OTK deck. Now before I get into this, I just have to say this is meant to be just a fun deck, a silly deck to kind of mess around with. Not meant to be competitive at all. There's not enough support to really make this work. There's a lot of cards that can help you do things with the deck, but it just doesn't add to enough consistency. But you can still make some fun plays with this deck, and there are a ton of things that you can do with it that I'm also not doing in this deck that I will get into in the side deck. The main idea behind the deck is just using Mokey Mokey SmackDown and using Mokey Mokeys to really overload your opponent and do big damage to them. But again, it's very situational, so we try to add in a lot of cards that will allow us to make the plays. So first off, we have 3 Happy Lover, so we need level 2 fairies in this deck because they benefit from some of the things we're trying to do and allow us to make plays. Happy Lover is the strongest version of a level 2 fairy normal that we have access to, so that's definitely an interesting choice. And then 3 Mokey Mokey, obviously the star card. 2 Mystical Shine Ball, kind of the next strongest fairy, not because of Venus or anything, but just kind of the next strongest one. I think there's other fairies in the OCG. They're not that much stronger, but they're a little bit stronger than Shine Ball. Then we have 2 Nova Summoner. Helping us search out can be nice to bring out Mokey Mokey or the other cards. And 1 Rescue Rabbit can search out for your deck, which is very, very nice to make your big plays. For the spells, 2 Dark Factory of Mass Production, very nice when we can recycle our normal monsters. 3 Delta Attacker, so one of the cards that's necessary for the OTK. All our Mokey Mokeys will be able to attack, which is very, very strong. We can also use it with the other cards, but it won't be as powerful. And then we have 2 Emergency Fitting Room. Just this card is just meant to speed up the deck. Life points aren't the big issue because you want to get your cards as soon as possible. So I really like having this card. The only issue is that it's kind of determined by how many normal monsters you have and a lot of luck. So that's the one problem with it, but can be very nice for getting what you need. 2 Messenger of Peace, one of the better stall cards available, so I like to use this. There's a bunch of other stall cards you can use, but that's one of them. And then 3 Mokey Mokey Smackdown, just the basis of the deck. When our fairies get destroyed, Mokey Mokey gets the 3,000 attack. So the main idea is using this in combination with Delta Attacker, so you can do 9,000 points of damage to your opponent. That's the main OTK, not really much outside of that, but can be very powerful. And then 1 for 1, kind of tough with our lower kind of monster count, but could be nice to get Mokey Mokey a little faster. 1 Polymerization just to get out Mokey Mokey King, which I'll talk about in a bit. 1 Law of the Normal, just kind of situational. I'm not completely sure if I want to keep this around. It depends on how many normal monsters you have, but it can be a very, very powerful to set up things. 2 Tri-Wight, a very powerful card for this deck. Once you get all your Mokey Mokeys to the graveyard or the other fairies, you can use this to bring out XYZs or go for the OTK. 3 Upstart Goblin, again trying to speed up the deck. For the traps, 1 Human Wave Tactics, obviously a Mokey Mokey card. Mokey Mokey's on the cover, but it's kind of situational. It's tough to keep this out, but it can be nice to kind of search out the deck and speed it up a little bit. And then we have 2 Justi-Break, just giving us a little bit of defense in this deck. 2 League of Uniform Nomenclature, a very nice card for this deck, allowing you to bring out whatever cards you want. Kind of like Infernal Reckless Summon, but just a little bit differently that we can bring this out whenever we want. And then we have 3 Traps done with an OTK deck, makes a lot of sense. And now for the extra deck, obviously we're going to have a lot of level 1 and 2 XYZs available to us. 1 Mokey Mokey King, just because we can make plays with this in order to do our OTK. We have some additional things we can do with this, which is pretty nice. Baby Tiragon can be useful. Daigusto Phoenix, obviously. Gachi Gachi to stall. Dullahan. I put in 2 Dullahan. I think he's one of the more useful ones, but there are other ones that might be useful at 2. Otherwise, we're using 1 of pretty much everything. 1 Herald of Pure Light can be nice to recycle the graveyard. Mira the Starbearer can be a little useful to protect things. Utopia Roots is nice for countering XYZs. Lionheart is an extremely powerful card when used at the right situation, so that's nice. Goldrad, a little bit nicer to kind of add to the consistency and kind of get the cards we want because we need very certain cards to make the OTK work. Galaxy Queen can also be useful to stall. Dark Mist, obviously with our level 2s, can be powerful. Shining Elf, again, with level 2s is nice. And Slacker Magician, another stall card we have access to. But again, it's really up to you. There's not much room in the extra deck for things, so I'm running pretty much 1 of everything, but if you want to run 2 or 3 of certain copies, whether it's your preference, that's, definitely up in the air. In the side decks of my videos, I kind of just go over other recommended cards, other interesting stuff for the deck. Not meant to be a side deck for matches, just ideas I'm throwing out there. There's a ton of stuff for this deck that you could use. It's just all situational, but I will talk about it and what you could do with this deck. Obviously in a fairy-based deck you could run Kristya, but again, not really what we're trying to do in this deck. Emissary can search out, which is nice for this deck. Guardian of Order, with our swarming, we could bring this out. Honest, we're not really trying to win battles here with this deck, but Honest can be useful, obviously. If you want to run agents, you could run Venus, and you can run with that with the Shine Balls, and then you can run Master Hyperion. My last Mokey Mokey deck used agents, but it turned out when I was playing it, it really only did, a little bit of agent stuff, a little bit of Mokey Mokey stuff, and it just didn't really help the deck be consistent. It just kind of made the deck more of a hybrid. So not what I'm trying to do, but it is a different way to run the deck. Another idea I was thinking about is using Herald. Using Herald and then Advanced Ritual Art. Advanced Ritual Art can get the Mokey Mokeys to the graveyard, and then you can use Tri-Wight and make plays with that. So that's something I'm thinking about, and then you can use Herald as a backup. So that's just another interesting idea. Amulet is an interesting card for this deck. Again, we're not really trying to win battles here, and it's a lot weaker these days because of XYZ, so I don't run it, but other people have run it in their Mokey Mokey decks. Foolish Burial, a bit slow for this deck because we do have some graveyard stuff, but it's kind of tough. I took this out, I had it in here. It's still an idea and could be useful. MST, not really a big thing for this deck. Not a lot of cards that will shut down this deck in terms of spell and traps, but obviously we're using traps done to deal with traps, but it can be a choice for this deck. Opti Camouflage, so this can be powerful to go for like a finish, to go for the damage with Mokey Mokey, but again kind of slow for this deck. We're going for 3 attacks at once mostly. Swing of Memory is another card that can make use of the graveyard instead of Tri-Wight. Triangle Power, this can be used on all our normal fairy monsters, which is pretty cool. Another power version for Mokey Mokey. It's kind of debatable, but I can see the power of it. And Wabaku, Threatening Roar, other stall cards, they're all kind of useful for this deck. There's a lot of other stuff that could be used for this deck, like Infernal Reckless Summon and other searching and summoning, and there's some other interesting things that I've seen people run, but it's really up to you. This deck is, again, not meant to be very strong, just fun, so you can throw in whatever fun cards you want to try to make the deck work. There's also a lot of other level 2 fairies that aren't effect monsters, but that kind of runs in the way of what I'm trying to do with my deck type. But if you want to run more of a hybrid with those effect monsters, it's definitely up to you. So that's my Mokey Mokey deck. Again, a very silly, fun deck that you can mess around with if you like. Probably one of the weaker decks in existence, just because there's no support and it's a very silly deck type, but I still have a lot of fun with it, and it's pretty silly to just throw it out there against your opponent. But if you guys do have any ideas for me, maybe we do have some suggestions to make the deck stronger, make it more consistent, competitive maybe, probably not, but you can definitely post below, let me know in the comments, and talk about those cards. But that's about it for me. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you later.